Hey, this is Sean from Sports Visio. Today I'm here with Rob McGee from 902 Hoops and my friend Emmett Roy from Sports Visio. You're both very welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, and I'm thrilled to be a part of your guys' journey.
Well, we understand that 902 is the largest league in the Atlantic Canada. Tell us a bit about your story, your basketball story growing up, how you got playing. I understand that your son's playing. How'd you get involved here?
From a young age, I was always really good at baseball, and so I always played baseball. Grew up in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and it wasn't until grade seven where I was first introduced to basketball. Never really knew a thing about basketball. Just one day, a friend of mine, he was like, "Yeah, they're having tryouts for the team. Why don't you come try out?" And I was like, "Sure, why not? Why not?" So I went to the tryouts, and of course, we're all just kind of playing in the gym, shooting around, whatever. So I'm just kind of like watching everybody trying to learn, what how they're doing things, and then all of a sudden the coach he yells out, "Okay, let's get into doing some layups." And here I am in the middle of the gym. I laid down on my back thinking like sit ups, like he probably just called it something different. But I was always like really athletic, and I caught on really fast to basically every sport, and so I played my first year on the B team, and then the very well at the end of that year, my parents they told me we're moving, and we ended up moving like about 120 kilometers away. When I moved down there, I didn't really have a lot of support from my parents, and the school was like 15 kilometers away, so like joining teams and stuff like that was very difficult. But the one good thing about this area that I moved to is the only thing everybody did was play basketball. So they kind of left the gyms open, so you could just like go to the school. It'd be open all night long, like, and so I just kind of figured this out, and I would I would start staying after schools, and just all I needed was a ball and a pair of sneakers, and I'd have free reign as long as I want. So I just kind of fell in love with the atmosphere of being in the gym. Gave me peace of mind. Not being able to play my sport that I grew up on, baseball. I found myself in the gym like lots of times, often staying there, like even overnight, just not even going home, and it was just my sanctuary to be in the gym. The only bad part about this was when I moved down to this small area, because everybody played basketball. I wasn't known, and I didn't have the skills of these kids that have been playing like their whole life. So I never actually made a team. Um, when I was 19, I had I had my first child, um, and he from the time he was born, um, I introduced him to basketball, and he kind of fell in love with it, and I nurtured that love for basketball that he had. He ended up going to university in one of the local universities, Cape Breton University. He did his redshirt year, and then partway through that year, COVID happened. So everything kind of got put on hold. They canceled the next season of basketball. So just to give you a little backstory, I had participated in this event called Full Court 21. They call it the world's most unique basketball experience. And basically, what it is it's a full court game. You have 6 players on the court, and you have the ball, and all 5 players are playing defense against you. So you try and go down and score. If you score, you get two foul shots, which is actually 3-point shots. And then you get possession of the ball again. But when you're playing, if any one of those 5 players either gets a rebound or steals the ball from you, they have to switch and go the other way, the full length of the court, against the remaining 5 players. So my son had actually, the first time that came to Halifax, he ended up winning the whole thing. So he was playing against like grown men and stuff like that. And what happens is they do this in 5 markets across Canada, Halifax being one. But they take the winners of all 5 cities across Canada and take them to New York to compete in the All-World Finals, which there's players from all across America, Japan, it's all over the world. It's crazy. So he actually won that 3 years in a row. And then COVID had shut it down for, I think, a year or two. And then he ended up going to New York, I think it was in 2023, to compete again in the All-World Finals. And there was a coach from Rochester, New York, a D2 school, and he had watched my son play, and he wanted him to come there the following year. So my son kind of got that fire lit up again in him. But he said, all you need to do is just send me some video footage of some recent games. And of course, he didn't have any. So, I was like, we got to try and get you some footage somewhere. And that's when I started looking into what there is like around. And there was this league. It was 902 Hoops League. And it was a relatively small league when we got involved. It was, I think it was like 18, 20 teams, something like that. And so I signed up. I signed him up, and we started joining this league. But at the time when we joined, it was pretty unorganized. There was some guys were playing in like swimsuit shorts, and half the team had jerseys. Some of them had T-shirts, and I kind of looked over, and the guy that was running it, he looked like he was kind of doing everything himself. Took the guy out for lunch, and I was like, I just noticed you're kind of juggling everything. You're doing everything yourself. Like, what's the story here? And he had told me, he's like, I'm in a little bit of financial trouble, and I think I'm gonna sell this league for I think he was like $10,000 to pay off the debts that it owes. And I'm like, is that really what you want to do, or is or are you just kind of doing that to get out of debt? And he was like, well, I don't really want to do that. So I was like, you know what? Let me help you out with this league, and let me, I know I can get it going. I've run businesses my whole life since I was 18. That from that point on, I was like, okay, let's get this started. And my kind of vision is I wanted to be able to basically give players an NBA quality experience in their local market. So I started kind of how can we achieve this? And I was like, well, first thing we need to do is start recording the games, live streaming them, so people, can enjoy that a little more, see their progress. Stuff like getting the uniforms in before the season starts. Um, Trying to hype it up a little bit. We started including a media day where we have professional photographers before the season starts, coming in, getting the guys hype about their new uniforms, their teams, um, that sort of stuff. And of course, um, doing this on a shoestring budget, I was like, how can I possibly do this? Because going in and setting up cameras and having somebody behind them to like follow the action is time consuming. It was going to cost a lot, so I started looking into it, and I found out about these AI cameras. And I was like, wow, that's great. I can set these cameras up, follows the actions, puts the live streams on for me, and it's very cost effective. And of course, once we had that, then guys started like really buying into the league, and they could start to see that vision, and it was really amping everything up. So we went from I think like 20 teams to the next season we had 46 teams sign up, and the word was starting to get around about how the league was growing and being better, and so of course the next natural progression was like, we got to get these guys some stats. So of course we started taking the game recordings and then trying to come home, rewatch them, do all these stats, and then you're sitting there like rewind, and in my mind I thought, oh, I could do this on like 2x. So game's an hour long, I can get the stats done in 30 minutes. But sitting down, in reality, it ended up being more like rewind. What was that? Was that a touch, or was that a who did that? Who'd that ball go off of? So it ended up taking like an hour and a half rather than just the hour of the game. So I was like, there's got to be a service or a better way to do this. And then that's when I naturally found out about Sports Visio, and I was like, I was kind of like a little bit skeptical at first, and it was because when I came to the website, it was like, yeah, just load a video up and we'll go through it. So I was like, well, I'll give it a try. And then I did that, and it came back, and the stats were like, they were amazing. It wasn't just like taking 5 stats. It was like a full lineup of steals and rebounds and offense and defense. And so I was like, yeah, like we need this. And then that's basically how we ended up reaching out with you guys, and started to build that relationship. And it's just, it actually really changed. It took the league to another level that even more than what I was expecting. So it was really great.
Appreciate you giving the background. I've heard the story a lot, and I love it. It's amazing how you kind of, turned 902 Hoops around and creating that ESPN NBA like experience, which completely aligns with the values we're trying to create for basketball players everywhere. We want everyone to feel like they're Jason Tatum in their local rec league. So I'm curious, like what kind of feedback have you heard? You're one of the you're a league that has fully taken this approach to implementing new technology. What kind of feedback are you getting from players and hearing from them about the NBA 2K like experience you're trying to create for them?
Yeah, it's amazing. Literally every time I walk into the gym, somebody new like finds their way onto the app and starts getting the stats, and there'll be like, oh man, like I didn't know I was doing this kind of thing, and now I end up spending like hours. Like I've had guys tell me like they play one game and spend 6 hours like analyzing the film and their play and how they can get better, and it just has really elevated the game so much. And like it's not just stats. It's like the AI write ups that you get with the thing. It's just insane. Like it tells you the whole story of the game, and it AI doesn't take any feelings into the game. So it's like, yeah, so and so scored 27 points, but it was overshadowed by 6 turnovers. So it's really truthful. It's humbling, um, and it actually makes a difference in the games now, because you'll see guys that would put up 33s a game, and now they start to see that their shooting percentage is only 14%. So they start thinking about those type of shots now, and it actually has enhanced the play on the court. Like every game, it's really fascinating to be a part and watch the evolution. And it's just every season it just continues to get better, and the feedback gets better, and more guys get involved. um, so yeah, I can't say enough about it beyond that.
As a league manager, you've been exceptional at getting players involved, communicating with them. I think the media day probably goes a long way in capturing everyone's picture, making sure that their pictures are in the app, that they're engaged, that we have their emails. I think it's best in class from what we've seen in terms of how to manage a league and how a league can get the most out of Sports Visio. So well done there. Um, I, I've heard your growth story. We've heard about your ambition for the future. I'd love to hear what's next for 902.
Well, right now we're working on an elite youth league, um, and so part of the problem that I found going through the system, and then trying to bring my son through the system is, um, there, there's not really the resources to to help kids that know from an early age, um, advance and work their way towards like university or pro level. So one of the things, we kind of we're trying to take a step back and say, how can we um, do this from a young age, where kids can take their playing experience and put it into a portfolio that's going to grow and evolve with them as a basketball player. So this September we're actually launching Nana Hoops Youth League. Sorry, it's an elite youth league, and it's going to go from U10 to U16. We're doing a male and a female division, and for this year we're gonna cap it off at 8 teams per division, and we're gonna extend the season, so we're actually tripling the amount of games that the local clubs offer. So they're gonna have 21 games with playoffs. There's gonna be an all-star weekend, and it's really gonna give the kids the ability to see their own growth. So they'll have, with the Sports Visio app, every single game, every point is going to be broken down into a highlight for them. Their stats will be there to go along with it. So now when you have the Canada games or the provincial team tryouts, it's going to be more than just like, oh, I seen that kid play before. He's cool, or like I think he'll do well. Like everybody's talking about this kid. Like there's actually going to be some numbers and some highlights to now back that up. But part of the elite program is we're also going to have an educational system built into this. So for 18 of those 21 weeks, we're going to have an educational aspect to this that's not on the court. So it's going to be talking to the kids about like planning for their future, like stuff like networking, how to pick out your courses or design your roadmap, stuff like taking care of your body. Because it's just too hard for a coach, and at most levels they're all volunteer coaches, so they only get the kids between 2 and 4 hours a week plus a game, and it's really too much for those coaches to be having to take on that responsibility of trying to guide these kids of how to get to the next level and increase their chances.
I love the support that you're putting around it as well for all those players. Emmett, I know you watched the Olympics last summer. Team Canada was for real. The talent, the team, the quality coming out of Canada. Looking for some gold medals from Canada in the future with all that talent you're putting together up there, Rob.
Yeah, Canada's really stepping up. Yeah, I will say on going back to Full Court 21, so the last 5 years in a row, the all-world champion has been from Canada. We're working on also that Full Court 21 is if everything goes well for 2028, we're working on it being an Olympic sport.
Yeah, we touched on like the youth development aspect, how you're expanding to that, and how, you can use sports physio as a tool to track player progression and work on development. Talked about the league on how, it's a tool that helps you stand out and drive innovation for the 902 hoop players. But I think you mentioned in the past, you also had some players going to the collegiate and semi-professional level from the 902 Hoop League. Have you seen that happen a lot, or is that something you wanted to touch on?
This year, Halifax just introduced its professional basketball team. They're part of the TBL, and so like this has been something that, like, in the back of my mind, I wanted to work towards. Is if it didn't happen organically, I was looking to bring a professional team back to Halifax. In the past, we've had two professional teams that never really worked out. But I kind of stepping back and watching why it has never worked out was because we never had the local players. Like, every time someone tried to start up a professional team, they'd go to the States, they'd get players, they'd go to Ontario and get players, but they never really bring the local guys here. So it never really brought the local interest, putting bodies in the seats. But when I found out that Halifax was going to have a team, I went and I had a meeting with the owners, and I just told them, like, this is a real opportunity to grow from the grassroots, and I think we really have a lot of guys in the league that could make it and be a difference maker on that. And once they looked into it, they decided we'll have a 902 combine, and so we invited all the 902 players out. They were able to look at their stats. They were able to look at their play in the league, and it ended up working out that we had 5 or 6 guys that ended up signing with the with the Halifax Hoopers from the league. So that is a really great testament to one of the things I trying to build, is giving that platform for people to not, like we say, never stop playing. That's kind of our tagline, and part of that comes from the philosophy, like if you just go through the natural channels of basketball the way it is here, you have kids that start off in elementary school, then they go to junior high, and then high school, and then college, and then pro. But if you kind of look at all those numbers, every time you transition from, say, elementary to junior high, they combine those schools in so you have less schools and bigger population. So when you look at the elementary grade levels, here in Nova Scotia, we have something like 300 elementaries, but then you go to the junior highs, it goes down to like 200. Then you go from the high schools, it goes to like 150. Then you go from the high schools to university, it goes down to 6. So if you start looking at those numbers, you go from 300 to 200, you lose 100 teams, which is 100 times 10. That's 1,000 players that potentially will never play basketball again. If there's not an outlet for them to play. And then you go from junior high, you break that down again. Now you're losing maybe another 1,000 players. If they don't have somewhere to go, they just stop playing. And then the really big drop is from high school to university, because you have 150 high schools, and then you go down to 6. So if there's nowhere for these people to play, they just, in most cases, stop playing. Everybody develops at a different time, and we just want to provide the platform for those people, that whether it's at a competitive level or at a recreational level, that they have that opportunity. And we have everybody in our league. We have doctors we have entrepreneurs, we have gangsters. It's literally every type of person that you can imagine is now interacting, and it's all through this game of basketball that brings us all to the same level. So it's also something I feel our community needs.
Well, we'd love what we hear there. Basketball is the outlet, as the great connector, and man, when gyms can be open all night, your community is better off for it. That is for sure. Rob, we love what you're building. We love hearing your stories. Appreciate the partnership, and we can't wait to see what you do next at 902. I know I'll be watching the highlights in the app. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And another thing too is, like, when you guys do your emails and stuff like that, like the guys that get featured, like it's just it almost like, it's almost like their version of they made it. Like it's kind of cool to watch. It's there's so many players across the world, and they get featured. They see their photo pop up with their stats there, and you'll see them sharing it all over social media.